Hello, hello. This is Pigsy doing another video. So a bit of adjustment there. If it'll let me, there we go. Bit better. See the top of my head then. And raining as well. So there's a few different things. I guess really the genesis of things is important in that we undergo changes, gene expression changes, and it forms who we are, but we also do this throughout our life. Like our immune system's undergoing different changes, our DNA's undergoing different changes, and also understand what the aging process is does the expression reach a peak point and it has nowhere to go? Maybe it's a segment of DNA that needs to connect with another part of DNA to be restored or to regenerate. You know, why do people say get grey hair? Is that a signal to show that you're kind of a mature part of the herd, or maybe it's so you can sacrifice yourself for a larger part of the herd? I don't know. Oh, these bumps. There's some interesting developments of recent. So I've got one of my family members and his children. So my nephew is gay, my niece is a lesbian. I don't know if she's actually bisexual, but I'd imagine when it comes to my nephew, he definitely is. He's always had very strong feminine mannerisms. But would somebody want to change that? And if you could change that chemically, if there's a way to sort of stimulate a neuro pathway interchange, but it's so hard because it's hardwired. So the longer you're in a state, the harder it is to reverse it, but it's not impossible. It might just need recalibrating. Not that somebody wants to change that, but there might be some people that do for whatever reason. You know, it could be that they want to switch it off so they don't have compulsions to chase the opposite sex, or the reverse, maybe a lack of interest in a particular sex. So, I mean, what would happen if you could reverse someone's sexuality? You'd probably turn them bisexual, because you wouldn't lose what they've already got, but they might be able to have, say, you know, they might have a best friend who's female, but they would love to be able to marry this person, and they could do, because I think Barbara Windsor was in a relationship with that Kenneth Williams, wasn't it? She didn't mind it because it wasn't complicated by sex in the relationship. That's what was said. I think it's because she was involved with the craze and criminal gangs. I think they'd probably kill someone if they realised there was a sexual element to the relationship. Because that's what people really get angry about. For some men, it's just what the relationship's involved in, really. Creepy up there. Yeah, when it comes to territory, what threat by another man stepping into that territory. And then we've got another nephew that he wants to change himself into a woman at some level, or he wants to halt the puberty process, which I think is dangerous because it's not involving the natural process of the gene pool, whereby you're allowing your own DNA to control it. You're creating a new genesis on its own, which could be the future of a lot of things. That you could, if we know what triggers that expression, we could do it artificially, and that would trigger the change from an outside-in view. But first we have to monitor an individual going through certain changes. Now, some people's sexuality does change. Come right over. Come to the van. That's it. Move the fuck away. That's it. That's it. Come on. That's it. Oh, these cars. It's all happening. I don't know why the police are all over the place. Something serious going on. 3 o'clock, and there was undercover kind of car. I don't know what's going on there. But what was happening there was the issue was they all froze. So the threat caused them not to know what to do. I think because they're afraid of the police, they don't want to complicate them by getting in their way, but they have to realise they need to take active decisions to get out of the way. So yeah, so maybe coming back to Genesis is that you can stimulate these changes in yourself. I mean, age could be reversible, but it's understanding what creates the aging process, and also to reverse it, what do you need to put in there? Because you don't want to say give someone to regenerate them, but then they develop some form of cancer, or because it's a regulated system the way the body regenerates. So you could create a system that is diseased and start regenerating that, or you might find all sorts of things that might be not what you expected. I think massively viruses have been involved in the genetic changes of ourselves, and also coming back to the Genesis, when we think of evolution, we sometimes try to think of it as a ladder with steps on it. The reality is I've got part plant in me, because I've got the RNA mitochondrial system. It's built on platforms of systems, so there's relatively similarity between species, but they're totally different. However, if you did have some sort of genetic component which was either from that other species, so you're related in some way, there may be a way to reactivate that. And it could be that there's other components that are more active than others that have been switched on, switched off. So for the human species, we very much have certain fish-like qualities, like we've got salty skin, salty tears, sort of salty sweat. We have more blubber than other beings, so we can survive in colder environments. We can naturally swim better than some species. Some can't, some can. If you try to categorise us under primates, we're probably the best primate for swimming, but not mammal by no chance. And it's activating these different genetics, and if you added your DNA into something else's structure, you may be the evolution further down the chain. Through the line, there might be suddenly this gene expression of you comes out, but it's something that's locked away. It's like a platform. So the way I look at it, it's an archive system that draws its strength from what it's learned, trial and error. So it's got a whole list of genetic switches. Most DNA in beings is similar. It's not that particularly different. There's like these AT and AG and all these sorts of things. You'll see there's only so many proteins that go together to form a human being. So many enzyme combinations. But there's something that happens between the groups of the chain that start to make it more complicated. So it's like building up a language. And so the understanding of what we are is not just building blocks that make this person. There's a relationship, a code in there's information. There might be something else higher than that, so that the information is almost getting beamed in from somewhere else. So there's possibly the quantum connection there, and that like a consciousness, we can't pinpoint it because we probably beam it from somewhere else. It's outside of our being that's been influenced by something overarching consciousness. That's why, in essence, I'm just a percentage of my true being, which is way beyond that. And then it's debatable, is there separation in the soul, or is everything connected? And if so, then what are you? Are you kind of like a puppet in something else? But you're not. I mean, that's kind of an insulting term to say, oh, you're the puppet to an entity that you might class as God, you might class as something else. I mean, gods is it's a term to house something. It's a package, that's what it is. Because originally, the evolution of God, and our concept of God, is that we felt there was a creative force behind our creation, and that it related to the world around it. But we realised that certain things around us we needed to survive, like water, and then so you've got the L, And then you've got this god of hell that's associated with water. You may see also things like the waves, it's kind of magical. You know, it may be seen that the water's influencing the moon, not the moon's influencing the water, and so on. So, and then it opens up to, well, water can be powerful, but there's these other elements, and so these other elements have got things like Thor, the lightning, when it cracks through the sky, what on earth's that? It couldn't be explained, so it got packaged in this kind of, well, it must be a fight going up there. Maybe the gods are throwing their weight around up there or something, because these beings were beyond. They had to, because they were beyond our consciousness, they had to be beyond our physical one as well. So we couldn't explain them, so we had to put them in a place where we couldn't go to them to see them. We couldn't fully understand them, and so the evolution of our concepts around what God is placed it as a kind of elemental, and it slowly moved into like a figure of a man. I think, well, that's a sign of authority, and then beyond that, and there's also the feminine and also nature. And now you see this thing, well, it's at odds with itself, so therefore it has to be more than one thing. And then you've got this formulated of the Trinity, but then the Trinity is related to each other. But then you find other Trinity connections in like the Fibonacci code and other things like that, where these numbers compute against each other. So we get, what was it, 1 1, no, yeah, 1 1 2, and so 2 and 1 makes the 3, and then the 3 of the 2 makes the 5. So that'd be like the 5 main elements. And then you go to the 7, which is probably the realm of heaven. So there's some strange sort of connections there, numerology, and it's something just to look at how these numbers formulate, and that they are a pattern of something else that's more complicated. So at which point does the consciousness start? Does it start at point 1 and then undergo some massive change at point 2, because it had to polarize itself in order to function in more than one level, because it had to create change, and the idea to create change is to create some you have to create something that's uneven, and that it kind of writes itself out, so it undergoes a cycle, because otherwise the change becomes the dominant side of it and retains its form. And I guess with that, just to a certain degree, with power, the power of the universe, oh crumbs, come on out, is that there's points of it where it appears to be more powerful, like the sun. You think, oh, that's got loads of energy, but it's the latent energy around it you don't fully understand. And same with light. Light's not white. Light potentially is dark. Light is unseen, really. It's when it comes in contact with things that it formulates into energy patterns that you can perceive and see. So there's a whole network of greater understanding. I mean, I might have to write some book and just put the ideas down, list them, put it, and also at people's religious path, you keep it simple. I think if we overcomplicate things, then it can be a bit hard. It sounds like I'm going on about complicated things because I'm talking about multiple things. If we start talking about the universe, and then people's idea of the multiverse, and that, and also, like, if we go back to biology, is that a dominant species here maybe not into something else. This is why we're always worried about something invading this planet. It might come here to harvest us. And would it be human? It could be totally something different. It could be a crystal entity or something else. Okay. This is fucking annoying. There's all these cars parked in funny places. Let's go down here. Shortcuts. Run over someone's food. Someone dropped something on the floor. Just ploughed it into the ground. Yeah, I mean, there could be something else to harvest us, or maybe we are the harvest. But when we die, we give off an ether that's collected by something else. You know, when you die, you might actually draw these certain spiritual entities or interdimensional beings to absorb your knowledge and memories and stuff, which would be quite scary. But it could be a natural cycle of something much more complicated that we don't fully understand. You know, it could be that your soul goes off, but what's left behind is scavenged for other sort of uses. Yeah, I think there's. I think the more we think we know, the less we do. That's often the problem, because one answer poses several questions. Like, if that's true, then what does this mean? So that kind of thing. No, it's a good sign off. Have a great one. Let's speak to you soon.